news that we were having a 150th birthday, I just assumed that it was for the state or it was for the nation.
You know, I hear stories about, you know, back in the 1850s and things, and I just think, wow, like, that was a YMCA.
So for 150 years, people have showed up at our door. And they've showed up at our door because there are opportunities here for all individuals, regardless of ability or age.
It cuts across socioeconomic classes, and it gives kids an opportunity to get experiences they ordinarily wouldn't get.
What the Y offers is timeless values. They're the character traits that we all hope that our children have.
Essentially, the things that are important in life. You know, sharing, how to say, if you hurt somebody, say you're sorry. If you throw something down, pick it up. And you learn that through the Y.
You end up celebrating and sort of marking the events of your life through this organization.
The spirit, mind, and body, all of that that's part of the Y is timeless. There's no other way to say it.
You can picture me every evening at the close of the day, writing a little letter in the YMCA. Don't you worry, mother darling, for while the skies are gray, I can always find a little sunshine in the YMCA.
Ann Arbor's timeline is very fascinating in terms of the original settlers coming together, and I think with the establishment of the university here, then we became that real community. So having the Y come in 1858 was the real indicator that the Ann Arbor community was going to be more than just the host area for the University of Michigan, but be a real entity unto itself.
This organization was started in 1858 by a group of University of Michigan students.
To see that a group of university students my age started something that has evolved into what we have today, which is, you know, an establishment of many opportunities, and I don't know, it's really cool.
So after the university, the Y formally organized in the city of Ann Arbor and put together a team to raise money to build a facility.
The YMCA built its first building on 4th Avenue, and I believe that the building cost about $30,000, and that was in 1904.
It was a state-of-the-art facility at the time. It's still a very, very cool building on 4th Avenue. Then in 1910, they put the first indoor pool down in the basement, and it was a huge deal that this new Y would have an indoor pool. From what I hear, the Y was the primary place where boys would come to do their physical education activities and learn sports.
My father, Howard Holmes, told me that he and his friends from Chelsea would come into Ann Arbor and play basketball.
The YMCA invented volleyball, invented basketball, and really invented organized swimming classes.
And learning to swim at the Y, I was copping a lot of medals. There was only 1 or 2 guys who could beat me. And you start off a minnow, and you swim so many laps, you get a minnow sticker, you know, in the pollywogs or whatever, and then you get up to flying shark. You were really moving then.
I think I may have been a piranha or a minnow. I'm not sure where I was in the hierarchy of fish.
To teach kids how to swim or be aware of the water, I just think that's a wonderful thing, because I think we probably save lives that way.
Thomas Burkett had a piece of property that he wanted to give to the Y so that we could use it as a boys' camp, because it was the first camping facility that the Y owned, and the first camping facility that responded to the needs of the city of Ann Arbor.
You could stay overnight, and it cost $1 a day, $1 a day, and the kids helped in the kitchen doing the dishes, peeling the potatoes and stuff like that, which kids this age, of course, would never do. The whole experience out that Y camp was, you know, people didn't have any money, and you've probably heard about your grandparents talking about the Depression and everything. It was a very difficult time for the country, but the country was able to handle it. So the Y sort of, you know, fit into that whole thing. And I'm sure my parents sent me there for a very good reason, you know, and I'm happy they did.
The YMCA was founded for boys at the 4th Avenue site, but it didn't last for boys for long. There were many programs that were offered for girls. Girls were allowed to come in once a week. They did their own swimming lessons because it was the only place they could do indoor swimming classes in the city. The YWCA had a facility down the street from the YMCA, and girls would use that. It was a small facility, it was more like an old house. But girls would go there, do the cooking classes, learn the skills that girls were supposed to learn, and then come down to the YMCA and do the physical activities. Both organizations were taking a look at their facilities. They came to realize that neither of them had enough adequate facilities, and that they should get together and maybe talk about programming in one building. And this was in the 40s, to build a building together. Was very innovative, and it was certainly in the city innovative, but in the United States, that just wasn't happening.
My mother was very involved with the merging, the building. My father said to her, "Oh, you're going to be the president of the YMCA." And my mother said, "No, Charles, I'm going to be the president of the YMYWCA." And so she really took it to heart.
That the Y, in its philosophy and its mission, was really a pioneer in terms of having exactly the same kinds of opportunities for women as for men.
And then they formed a building committee. The building committee's objective was to raise money to build a new Y.
I was asked to work on that board, and those two ladies were involved with raising money for the Y. And we would go from, at certain times, from office to office to try to get money for the Y.
That committee took a week, is what I've been told, to walk up one side of Main Street, down the other, and come up with $1,072,000 to build this YMCA on 5th Avenue, and it was actually the YMYWCA.
And it was a very proud period for me to do that, because all of the connections and the families that I had a chance to work with, to talk to.
The new Y, as it was called at the time, opened in 1959, and it began serving boys and girls.
My mother knew that it was a very important history for the YMYWCA. It was very important to show what Ann Arbor was at that moment in time. This is the day of the putting of the time capsule into the cornerstone. I remember coming with my mother there for the ceremony, and lots of people. I was 9 years old. It meant a lot for my mother, for me to be there with her. They thought that there would be many, many years before anybody would ever go into that time capsule.
You find one person whose story leads to another person who leads to another story, and it's very impactful.
It certainly kept me off the streets, and there was always activities going on, one thing. Now that's good for kids.
I knew that there was something that I felt like I was searching for, and I hadn't found it yet.
It meant a lot to me because I had my 3 children. And the Y, as I said, was like a refuge. It was like a shelter to me, because I knew that they would be taken care of if they came here.
Our mom could see that this was a really great place for us to grow up.
It was, I think, for her, a place where she could put her time in, help raise funds for the Y, but know that when we were here, we were safe.
The addition of Camp Algonquin in the late 60s was a very big focus for the Y. At that time, it became the Y's family camp.
Well, it's hard to imagine where my family would be, or what would have happened had we not had that camp, or had that sort of experience. I think it was the people you meet there it's such a unique experience that maybe you get closer.
We had a program that was called Duran Thin Mints. We sold candy. We sold boxes of candy. And this was a good program because when we grew up, we had very little money, and this allowed us to make enough money for us to go to camp. My sister Karen, and I keep saying that she was only 6, sold 1,000 boxes of mints, and you have to understand, each box was $1 and a pound. So for a 6-year-old, selling 1,000 boxes of these, I think is pretty amazing.
I knew I could sell after that. I always knew it. Everybody always told me, hey, you've got that smile, that personality, I think you should go for it. So I ended up being an econ major when I was in college.
Today she's one of the most successful people in her industry, and I think it started because of this when she was 6 years old. If it wasn't for those camps, I would never have probably learned to ride a horse or to shoot archery, or never experienced canoeing, or even learn to swim.
It added to our numbers of kids that we were serving from all over the state, and it became such a huge part of our history, and remains that today. To remain relevant over 150 years, the Ys had to change and do things that responded to the needs of the community.
When the Y put together the program for the transitional housing, it was really a community response to a community challenge.
I think the Y changes with people. I mean, I think Y has something here for everybody, and that whatever that something is changes.
In the 5th Avenue Y, we had a floor for men and a floor for women in the 90s, and the city of Ann Arbor asked us to meet another community need, which was to add more rooms. So the Y added 3 floors, and we then began to house 100 people. It was important to the Y to continue to provide programs for men and women who needed a low-income place to stay in downtown Ann Arbor. And so we were committed to doing that for as long as we could.
I just have tremendous admiration for what they did. And I think you look at it today and you talk to people at City Hall, and they view the Y as one of the greatest community assets we have. And I think they're right.
The advent of this new place, it's been mind-boggling to me. The jump in membership.
It was clear that the community was buying back into the Y, and they were all coming to the facility on 5th Avenue, and we were running out of space. We needed to find a new home, a place that would serve our needs in the way we needed to right now. That's evolved to building this building.
When we were talking to people about making donations, we would say, close your eyes and think about what life would be like in Ann Arbor and Washtenaw County if you were to take the YMCA away. And that was a little bit of a thought-provoking exercise, because if that were to happen, we would lose a great source of strength for kids growing up, hopefully in the right way.
And so now we're still in awe every time we walk into the Welcome Center to see the numbers of people who are just in and out all day long.
I mean, it's really great for teens my age. I see a handful of friends every time I come in. It's just because it's so accessible for everybody.
I like doing roller hockey camp. I like volunteering there.
Yeah, I also, there's so many things going on. Me and my friend just started taking this hip-hop jazz class just to be goofy, and it actually turned out one of our friends is teaching it. So it's just this fun activity that we just go do just for kicks, and it's nice.
There are continuous challenges, that nothing ever stops. So you think when you build a building and you get it open and it starts working and people come and the programs are good, that's good enough. And then something else comes up. That turns out to be just as exciting a challenge as it was to build the building. There's always some other thing that we can do to respond to a community need and to do a better job.
Let my gifts be gifts of grace, and let my light help light the way.
Pass the baton on to the next person and keep it going.
Values that are taught here are timeless, so let's keep it going. Happy birthday.
Outstanding.
You are outstanding and wonderful and a great asset to this community. Thank you.
Happy 150th birthday, YMCA.
I can only hope that it not only goes for another 150 years, but that teens and the youth are still involved.
I'm just very thrilled that my mother had that passion and was very compassionate about. And if she were still here today, she would just be amazed.
Picking you up when you fall, that sort of thing. And they still do it. I'm 73 and they're still picking me up,
I hope the Y just goes on forever.
The Y is 150 years old. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday, YMCA.
Yeah. I can't see it going anywhere but up, up, up.
Be the spark, touch one heart, love just flows.
Happy birthday.
Here's to many more.